Well, good morning, everyone. Twyla here with Space City Social, and we are joined by my good friend, Nick. Cannot wait to hear what he has to tell us about today. All things insurance, and he's a funny guy too, so I'm sure there's some laughs in there. Right?
She's like, funny looking.
Hey. Oh man, well, so excited to have you today. I do want to just throw a couple things up here for you guys watching us in Facebook land. We are live streaming from our pages. However, I'm going to have to keep kind of looking over at my phone because I don't have somebody this morning to keep a lookout for comments and questions. So if we miss your question, it's not because we don't love you. We will come back, and I'm sure Nick will look through the comments and the questions after the video as well. So if we don't see it while we're on here, don't fret. We'll get with you. We'll make sure that you guys are taken care of. And it would help if I turn my phone off.
Here's our first caller.
Hi, you're live with Twyla and Nick.
That'd be so rad.
Wow.
Oh, wow, that was quick.
Good to be in live, right?
Of course. That's awesome.
Oh, man. So we will definitely, if you guys leave comments or questions, I'm going to try to keep a lookout for that. But because we're broadcasting in several places, we might miss it on our live, but we'll definitely go back afterwards and make sure that everything's been addressed. So
most definitely.
Awesome. And for those of you who don't know Space City Social, we are a full service marketing company. We do digital marketing. We also have lots and lots of experience from the ground up with your businesses. I am a serial entrepreneur myself, started lots of businesses, been involved with lots of businesses from the dirt up. So if you guys have any questions, whether it's social media marketing, content strategies, ads, I don't know, anything and everything that has to do with marketing, feel free to reach out. We have a free masterclass going on this Thursday, December 3rd at 11 a.m. You can sign up for it on our Space City Social website. There's a banner up at the top, www.spacecitysocial.com, or you can also look for it on our Facebook page at Space City Social. It is a free class. It is going to be a ton of fun because it's with me. So it's
always going to be fun.
We're going to be talking about how to double your sales without wondering if people are actually seeing those social media posts. Yeah, that gets a little frustrating, right? You throw something out there and you think it's fantastic and it's crickets.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We're going to talk about that. But again, that's this Thursday, December 3rd. Feel free to sign up for that. And without further ado, yeah, I mean, like, I'm going to throw it to you, Nick.
Oh my gosh, man. Thanks a lot, Twyla.
No
yeah, so I mean, health insurance, man, it's a thing. I mean, open enrollments right now, it's everybody in the United States is doing it, it's a thing. So you're gonna end up getting your health insurance through your employer, through your spouse, maybe through the marketplace or anything like that, or maybe through a private institution. And, just for open enrollment, there's a couple things to know, essentially. So just some quick definitions, just to kind of blanket and get everything rolling here. So PPO is preferred provider option, right? That's any hospital, any doctor in the whole U.S. is where your options are there. HMO is the next tier down from that one, and an HMO is what you're going to find primarily a lot on the marketplace, and that's where your coverage is going to be more localized as far as just boundaries of your specific state or even your specific counties. And then you would go one step down below that, and that would be an EPO, where everything is an EPO is exclusive provider option. And so that would mean you're just with one provider, regardless of where it is, but it's just one provider, and it's usually state specific too, which is pretty cool.
Okay. Now, because I'm new to this, I'm not quite sure how it works. So I may ask some really dumb questions, but
you're all gravy, no stress.
I don't get embarrassed very easily, so you can laugh at me and be like, Twyla, really? Don't get offended. So are you like a insurance broker where you shop lots of different plans, or do you have a specific company that you work with, or how does that work if somebody came to you and said, hey, I own my own business, therefore I am completely lost and confused when it comes to insurance. What would you tell me?
So I like to be more of a one-stop shop than anything else, right? So I'm an individual licensed agent. And so what I do is I look for solutions is the idea, right? And so whether that solution would lie with, one person being on, on a private plan or everybody being on a marketplace plan or whatever, I'm going to find the best solution that fits and tailors to whomever I'm talking to for the most part.
Ah, good. That's good to know. So
Mhm.
it's not cookie cutter. So you've got
No, it's super custom.
good. That's good. So, and I don't know that we ever threw your business name out there. Where do we find you on Facebook, or if we wanted to get in touch with you, what's your business name?
So it's RYP Insurance. You can type in Reclaim Your Premium to Facebook and it should go straight to me. You should be able to type in RYP Insurance. It should go straight to me. And then I also have a hashtag as well. Hashtag Reclaim Your Premium. You should be able to type that in on Facebook or LinkedIn and you'll find all my posts, which is pretty cool.
So hashtag Reclaim Your Premium.
Yeah, that was pretty fancy.
So fancy, Nick.
I mentioned it to my my 11-year-old niece, and I was like, dude, I got a hashtag. I'm like so jazzed out about it, and she's like, yeah, whatever, Uncle Nick. Yeah, whatever.
You should have messed with her and said, hey, you know what? I came up with this word and I use that little number thing in front of it.
Yeah. It's pound sign, right? Pound sign.
Yeah, the pound sign. There you go. It's pound. Da, da, da.
That's so rad.
Oh, that's awesome.
Oh, all the good times right there.
So let me ask you, do you just do health insurance or can you shop, vision, dental, things like that?
So I do health, dental, and vision, which is pretty awesome, right?
Okay.
Most of the time when individuals are looking for health insurance, they're looking just at health insurance. Mm-hmm. And that's the great part about working with me is that I'm a one-stop shop. So I'll take all of your needs into consideration, and I can even tailor it and piecemeal it. Like for example, perfect example. Say for example, mom and dad wear glasses and the kids don't, right? And then there's no reason whatever. I mean, then the kids could just not have a vision plan, and the adults could have a vision plan. You know what I mean? Like I'm very, very much, I can move everything around if that makes sense, which is pretty cool.
Okay, yeah, that is cool.
Oh yeah. And the biggest part about it is like, 2020 has been such a weird year just in general, like for everything. There's people getting laid off. There's people like, well, I think I'm gonna pivot. I got laid off. My life ended, so to speak, and then I made a new one, and you made a new career, started something different, or hey, I'm in this really great job right now, but man, I've been through like 9 layoffs or 8 layoffs, and I don't know when my turn's coming up, but it might. And so I started a side hustle, so on and so forth. And I love working with those individuals to help them find a plan, because I just think back to when I got laid off, and it was like my whole life, and so then I moved to a 1099, and I was like, man, I don't know, it's this is just it's crazy. I was really nervous about how I'm going to find health insurance, and had I had somebody like myself to come in and just give me peace of mind, say, hey dude, it's going to be cool, don't worry about it, I'll get you squared away, taken care of, and that would have been so nice.
Yeah.
So I really like to go in and help out in that respect.
And so let me ask you, so when my husband was laid off, and of course he carried the health insurance, he worked for mm-hmm. a very good company. He had great health insurance. They were kind enough, I guess, if you can put it that way, when he got laid off to take care of a month of COBRA insurance after the mm-hmm. layoff. But the COBRA mm-hmm. insurance for us to pick it up on our own was like astronomical. And mm-hmm. I'm my mind was blown, because I'm like, here you are laid off. So, your income has already been, cut if you're on unemployment. If you're not, you've got nothing. And now I've got to pay $1,500 a month for family insurance. I mean, now I don't know, maybe I'm speaking out of turn here, but how are the premiums with, the companies that you've seen? I mean, is that normal for a family of 3 to have $1,600 coverage?
Not necessarily, no.
Okay. Or do you offer, or something kind of like what you said, like, let's say my husband wears glasses, so I don't need vision for the whole family, but he uses it pretty frequently, so I just need him on it. Or health insurance, and that may be a tricky topic where it's case by case, but let's say, I'm just going to use him again as an example. He has asthma medication, so we need health insurance for him because of his asthma. How does that work, and how are those premiums? How are you seeing? I know you can't control all of that, but how are you?
Of course.
No, wish we could. How are you seeing prices in comparison to the COBRA insurance that most of us are either forced to take or deny when something like that happens?
So COBRA.
That's
so
house.
Dude. So man,
scared. Honestly, seeing those numbers made me scared to even
100%.
Start looking at insurance somewhere else, because I'm like, well, we can't afford this. There's just no way.
Yeah, no, 100% with you. So when I got laid off, it was very, very similar for me too, because it was nuts. I have triplets. I've got 3 little girls.
Aww.
And so like for me to get health insurance for me and my kids was like $1,400. And I'm like, there's just no way. I mean, that's more than I would make in unemployment. You know what I mean? So I did a little research, and coming from an engineering background, I overanalyzed like everything in the world basically. And so I reread the COBRA documents, so on and so forth. And COBRA is essentially at minimum a 102% markup from what you currently are paying, right? At minimum. So what COBRA is COBRA will say,
I'm in the wrong industry.
There you go. Yeah, it's nuts. Yeah, no. Yeah. So in COBRA, right? So the purpose of COBRA is for a company to go, okay, cool. Well, you're not with us any longer, but we're not going to send you into the cold alone. We're going to offer you health insurance. We're going to offer you the same coverage that you just had, right? The only difference is you have to pay our half plus your half, and then at minimum a 2% stitching fee just for fun to put it all together, and then that's what your price is going to be, right? Now, some companies out there, like your big, huge, giant O&G companies, they're going to cover, 70, 80, 90% of your health insurance premium. And so you don't have a very big premium, right? Whereas if you have smaller companies that are like basically right at 50. So if a company, just in general, like if a company is over 50 people and they offer health insurance, they're legally obligated to pay half your premium, right? And so this is something that I didn't know going into the whole game. You know what I mean? Like before I was an advisor, and so I was thinking for myself, I was like, man, health insurance should be a few $100 a month. That should be fine, right? I didn't realize it was only half of it, right? Here's another caller. I'm joking.
I know, and I have it on silent. I'm not quite sure why doing this.
No, it's okay. We're live. I'm joking.
Questions. Roll it in, Nick.
Yeah. That's so much fun, man. This is great. But yeah, I mean, just in general, like COBRA is very pricey because of how it is and what it is designed for, right? And also too, it's very much like a lot of coverages these days are bundled, if that makes sense. And so, I mean, you have like all of this crazy coverage for stuff that it's easy way. My best example I can possibly say is like if you're getting a cable TV subscription, that's how subscription. That's awesome. And you've got like 1,000 channels, and you might watch like 5 of them, give or take. It's the same way for a lot of health insurance stuff too. So that's why I can take a custom tailored approach to it, and you're basically getting what you need, if that makes sense, which is really cool, actually. And so I'm able to help out a lot of people in that respect, especially self-employed entrepreneurs, because I've found there's coverage out there that exists that is tailored towards those individuals, which is really cool, and that's a lot of stuff that I specialize in, helping out the little guy essentially. because in Texas specifically, but most other states in the union as well, if you are underneath of 50 people and you try to get health insurance through the marketplace, the only thing that's available to you is an EPO or an HMO, right? And that doesn't offer out-of-state coverage whatsoever, which is bananas. And so how do you find a PPO? Ta-da! I can help you out, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
And so, but yeah, Cobra coverage is very expensive. It's very, very, very expensive. And as a matter of fact, a funny story. When I was unemployed, going through my thing, interesting stuff. Mine's going a million miles a minute.
Oh, we love it. Share.
So, I'll say this, and then the Cobra guy, right? Yeah. So, Cobra, how it works. So, say for example, so like I was laid off in September of this past year, right? So I've been doing what I'm doing for officially 12 months now. And so September, I want to say 26 is when I was laid off, right? I got my Cobra documents in around October something, like the late of October, like almost a month later is when I got my Cobra documents in, right? And so I was like, hey, Cobra guy, I need to get Cobra coverage for November, because I figured, like, well, my kids and I were fine. We didn't go to the doctor or anything through October, so we're okay, right? And I was like, I need to get stuff for November. And the Cobra guy was like, oh, okay, sure, no problem. So what we'll need to do is, he's like, in order to get covered for November, now what you're going to need to do is you're going to need to pay for the last couple of days in September. You're going to need to pay for all of October, pay for all of November, and then you get covered for November. And I was like, sweet baby Jesus. That's just like, do you know the numbers we're talking about here? And he's like, yeah, I do. And I'm like, bro, no. Just like, honestly, And so I was freaking out, man, because it's, here my dad, I'm a dad trying to, provide for my family, my kids and stuff. And I'm like, this is just overwhelming, And then I went to the marketplace, and, almost immediately after that, I went to the marketplace, because the Cobra guy, oh, by the way, Cobra guy story. So I told the Cobra guy, I was like, hey man, this is a lot. This is like a whole lot for coverage. And the guy was like, yeah, I know it's a whole lot for coverage. As a matter of fact, I'm what I would do in your situation, I would really go to the marketplace and look for coverage. This is the Cobra guy talking. And he was like, because I know this stuff's really expensive. If you twist my arm, I'll get you the Cobra coverage, no big deal. But I would really recommend you go out to the marketplace, because you can find a better deal price-wise per month in the marketplace. And I was like, and that was from the Cobra guy.
Yeah,
and so I was like,
car dealer sending you across the street to get a better deal.
100%. And so I was like, well, it's not. If this dude thinks it's too much, then I know it's too much for sure, right?
Yeah.
So I went to the marketplace, and it was just bananas. It was like everything looked the same. Like there were different providers, and I was like, I don't know what these guys do or specialize in.
Yeah, it is so confusing. I've tried doing the marketplace, and I'm just going to tell you, everybody's got to work for their money. I get it. Everybody's got a job to do. But Lord help you if you put your phone number in on one of those apps just to see the price.
Oh my God, yes.
I about lost my freaking mind with how many calls started coming through. Not even 2 minutes. Yeah. And it tricked me, Nick. It said, to see your rates, put your information here. And I was like, okay, because it made it look like it was in a show right then. Oh no, I did not receive less than 100 phone calls that day from different,
oh my God,
anybody and everybody. And my husband, it got to be so comical, because every time the phone rang, we would just start laughing. And I was like, look at all these, look. Just
oh my gosh.
And I never got to see the rate. So at that point, I was so frustrated. I was like, forget it. I don't need coverage on that. I don't care.
Oh my gosh, man. Oh my gosh. Yeah, man. That's one of the things that, we do, because we get these, so these lead companies, right? It's the lead market is so incestuous, because it's like, oh, this was an exclusive lead, but it's really not an exclusive lead because I sold it to 12 people already. And like, oh my gosh, man, it just gets bananas. I feel so bad for everybody, So if you are looking for marketplace coverage, go to healthsherpa.com. healthsherpa.com. They don't spam your stuff out, which is pretty cool. Also, don't put your stuff in either, by the way.
Oh, I've learned
you can get your rates and stuff without putting your stuff in there, which, yeah, of course. And so it's like, those are like cool pro tips and stuff. but yeah, man, it gets nuts, you know, and like, as I'm sitting here looking through the marketplace, I'm like, all this stuff looks the same, you know? And so I started thinking about it, and, you know, I've had this mantra of like live to give, essentially, like my career, essentially. And careers wise, I've held, so Twyla, you saying earlier, you're serial entrepreneur, you build a lot of things. I've worked at a lot of places too, which is pretty cool. You know? So I've had careers spanning from running a skate shop to running a bicycle shop to running a skateboard shop to being a professional musician to being a professional dancer, representing the world, like you know, representing Houston on a worldwide basis, dancing for people from every continent on the planet.
Wow. What kind of
to like
dance?
even to like renting cars all the way to engineering.
What
Lindy Hop, swing dancing.
Really? Is there like video out there somewhere of this?
Probably.
That
That's a high possibility.
That is pretty cool.
Most of the stuff I was doing was before YouTube was a thing. And so I think there's like only a couple videos of me out there, so to speak.
Wow.
And then I kind of dropped out a little bit. I kind of like went out of the scene just for a minute to do, you know, be a professional musician and go on tours and so on and so forth and cut albums. And then when I came back to it, all of my buddies that I had started with are on Wikipedia and like they're on, you know, like everywhere on you. Like, oh my gosh.
Wow, that's pretty awesome.
And so it's been something that's just been back and forth, you know. And as a matter of fact, my first wife, I actually I met through dancing as well because she was also a dance instructor. And so one of my girls' names is Lindy for Lindy Hop, which is pretty cool.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. I learned something new about you today. I did not know that. That's pretty cool. Thanks for sharing.
Hey, no worries. So yeah, I've held like all different kinds of career. Like we have, you know, dancing and musician, all this stuff over here, the swing dance, the what's it called? Skate shops, inboard skate shops, and then bicycle shops. Then over here we have biomechanics, lining skeletal structures, master bike fitter, aligning skeletal structures on bicycles for like a long time. And then engineering, just super, it's like everywhere. It's like squirrel, you know, with careers. Yeah. So then I thought about it, and, you know, every career I've ever been in, I've been focused around helping people, which is pretty cool, or bring a smile to somebody's face and bringing some amount of joy to somebody, essentially, in some way, shape, or form. So I thought, you know, as I'm, you know, sending in like a million resumes to like everybody and their mother, basically. And I thought about it. I was like, you know, honestly, if I have this many questions about health insurance, I'm sure somebody else does, right? And so I did some more thinking about it, and then I was like, you know, I think that's a definite need to be filled because it's that's just the general information of health insurance. There's a lot of information out there, not a lot of it's the right information, so to speak. And so if I can be any sort of a guiding light or help anybody in that aspect, I'm 100% down to do so. So I invested basically the last bit of my unemployment checks into state and licensing fees and fingerprinting fees and so on and so forth. It's bananas to do health insurance, by the way. Like, I thought I was going to the Secret Service, like legit. It was nuts. Like, I'm getting fingerprinted and I'm like, cool. Why do I have to get fingerprinted? And they're like, Nick, people's lives are in your hands. And I'm like, they're like, no, I'm for real. And I'm like, oh. I mean, and now that I'm in it, I'm like, oh, I get it now. That makes sense. But like before I was like, oh, it's just insurance. And they're like, no, it's like a big deal. I'm like, wow. Yeah. And so, I mean, it's really cool to help people. And I mean, like there was a guy that, I mean, there's a guy that was on Cobra that I was able to help him, you know, save so much money. And he was just like, he's so elated. And now he's traveling the United States with his wife and his children, like in an RV, just chilling. Cause he's like, this is amazing. And like,
we're good.
Yeah. So it's like, he called me before and he was like, hey dude, is my coverage like nationwide? I'm like, yeah, everywhere. He's like, okay, cool. Just double check it. And like a month later, he's like, I'm in an RV. And I'm like, that's cool. So it's really cool. And you'd be able to impact people is really cool. I think it's fun.
Yeah. And especially now, I mean, I hate to use the whole pandemic thing, but it is what it is. Health insurance is extremely important, especially right now, you know, and then we're going into flu season and, you know, all the craziness with that. But so let me ask you, I read somewhere, and I may be off with this, but I read somewhere that open enrollment is winding down for the year. Is that accurate?
Mm-hmm. Yes, it is. And thank you very much for bringing that up.
Yeah.
So open enrollment every year is November 1st through December 15th. So we're in the last couple weeks of open enrollment here. So anybody who's watching, if you know anybody who runs their own business, anybody who is a solopreneur or a 1099 guy, like, maybe you're a plumber, or, I mean, heck, anybody. I mean, even I'm a 1099 guy myself, actually. We're everywhere. I'm joking. So everybody who's pivoted, started a new business, CPAs, any of those guys, I'm looking to connect with a lot of those guys, because a lot of those small companies, like mom and pop shops, 2 to 3 people, 5 to 6 people, stuff like that. They're looking for health insurance right now too. Everybody is. And that's the big deal is, I'd love to help everybody out. I mean, on some sort of basis whatsoever, even if it's just answering questions, honestly, because that's what I do, and that's what I'm licensed for. And I mean, heaven forbid, it's lots of fun anyway. I mean, because laughter in fun times.
Oh, well, yeah, the insurance arena in general is extremely confusing. And like you said, the marketplace, yeah, that's great if you're just trying to get in there and you've got lots of time to figure out what's
Lots
what.
of time.
Yeah, I feel like I'm a pretty educated person and I've had insurance my entire life, but I can tell you, once I started digging, I was so overwhelmed.
Yeah.
And then as soon as that phone started ringing every 2 minutes, I literally lost my mind and said, no.
Yeah. Yeah.
I can't do this.
Heck yeah.
So it's great to be able to connect with somebody like yourself that can at least position themselves as a credible resource, where if we have questions, even if we think it may be too far out of reach for us to be able to afford insurance on our own, it's great to reach out to you and at least say, hey, here's my situation. What do you recommend? What do you think I should look into? Or what are my options, at least? Because it may not be that far-fetched. Especially if we're comparing it to something like COBRA, which I know most people do, because they get that COBRA letter. And like you said, it's an all or nothing, and it has to start at the beginning, whether you used it the last 30 days or not. They want their money for that.
Yeah, 100%. It's bananas. It really is, and like, it's to your point of spending a lot of time on there. I mean, I actually have a client of mine, and they're really great. And then one of their family members needs to be on the marketplace, right, for coverage. And they're like, hey, we're looking at all this stuff and it's all gravy. But man, I spent, because I sent them a link, I was like, hey, go here, try this out, see what you think. I'm like, okay, great. I think we're going to be good. No big deal. I followed up with them like a week later, and I'm like, hey, how's everything going? And they're like, we finally got a chance to take a look at it. We were on there for like, a few hours. And man, I am more confused than when I started. And I was like, I am so sorry. No big deal. And then so I was like, you know what? I tell you what, I'm going to free some time up this morning. Boom, I got a quick appointment with them. And I'm like, hey, let's knock this out in a couple minutes. And in about 15 or 20 minutes, she's like, oh, this makes so much sense. And I'm like, well, there you go. It's easy peasy. And she's like, okay, cool. This is what we're going to do. I'm just going to double check with him, and then we're going to get taken care of. And it was all gravy, So, and by the way, and just for anybody watching, if you guys are curious, that's all free. It doesn't cost you anything, which is a big deal, right? Because I didn't think about it previously, but to mention it in some of my past videos and so on and so forth. But I've found that a lot of people haven't reached out because they're like, dude, I don't know how much your fees are, so to speak. And that's free. It doesn't cost you anything to talk. You know what I mean? And I'm more than happy to just to bounce anything off. Like my sister-in-law, or future sister-in-law rather, is a nurse, and she was so jazzed out. She's like, Nick, I mean, you got access to some of the best plans in the US, and I really, really like them a lot. I'm like, okay, that's cool. She's like, I think I want to switch over. And I'm like, well, before you do, hold tight, because we're going to take a look at what you have currently, because you might be in a good situation. And she was like, oh, okay, sure. Like, she wasn't expecting that, you know what I mean? And so took a look at where she was at, and she was like, hey, my plan, it doesn't cover chiropractors. I've been paying thousands of dollars a year for chiropractors because my plan doesn't cover them. And I'm like, okay, well, let's take a look. And sure enough, it was buried in her policy, like 5 or 10 pages in, and it was like, the TDB lines. Then there's like a little hyperlink, and I was like, hey, guess what? And she's like, what? I was like, yeah, your policy right now pays for chiropractors. And she was like, thousands of dollars, and I didn't need to. And I'm like, you're right, pays for chiropractors. Here's your link. And she's like, oh my God, thank you so much. And so, I mean, I just saved her a lot of money on her own plan. You know what I mean? So it's pretty neat.
And that's key. It's about talking with somebody who's an expert at it, because, we're all experts at something. Health insurance is not something I'm an expert at, nor do I want to be. So I'd rather partner with somebody like yourself who I trust, who's in it every day. The questions to ask. If I tell you something, you kind of know, oh, well, she's probably thinking this. So let me just dig in a little bit more and make sure that's exactly what she's looking for.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's super important. Let me ask you, I think you may have mentioned it earlier, but are you just licensed to sell insurance in the state of Texas, or for those viewers who are outside the Texas region, are you licensed to sell insurance wherever they live? I know you can sell coverage that covers them outside the state, but can you sell it if their home residency is outside of Texas?
Yes, absolutely I can. So it's easier to tell you where my company is not than where it is, if that makes sense. So basically everybody on the West Coast, so sorry about you guys, we're not there. So that's going to be Alaska, Hawaii, Washington, Oregon, California. No dice, we're not there, unfortunately. On the East Coast, everybody above Pennsylvania, I'm not there either. So sorry guys for New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, Maine, all those guys. North Dakota and South Dakota, for some odd reason, we're not there either. But everybody else, we're game.
Awesome. That's good to know. Good to know. And we went over this again a little bit at the beginning, but tell us how people can get in contact with you. Give us a couple different ways: email, phone number, Facebook. If somebody needs to hunt you down and they've got some questions for you, how can they find you?
For sure. So LinkedIn is a good one. LinkedIn.com/N/Nicholas Davis Houston. That's my LinkedIn profile. That's got like all my stuff there as far as contact. Facebook as well has all my stuff. So you can search on Facebook for RYP Insurance, or just type in Reclaim Your Premium, or type in #Reclaim Your Premium and follow the links to glory. And you're going to find my page, and I'll have all my information there. As far as scheduling an appointment, it's pretty cool. I don't know if you've probably seen that little thing here: set an appointment, calendly.com/Reclaim Your Premium. And you can find a custom tailored insurance fit during a free call. Woo. And celebrate and high five your friends. You just reclaimed your premium. Whoop, whoop, whoop. And that's my QR code. You can click that for a business card, which is pretty cool too. Actually, click it, but take a picture with your phone. It's pretty cool.
Awesome. You thought of everything.
I'm trying.
That's great. Well, we are rounding out our time here this morning, Nick. I'm actually running out of coffee on my second cup, so I'm going to have to go do another reason.
No stress there.
But I just want to say thank you so much for taking time out of your hectic schedule, especially right now. I know your phones are probably going crazy because it's rounding out, that open enrollment time, but we definitely appreciate you taking time to jump on here and just give us a little bit of insight. Because I know myself, I've been turned off completely by the insurance industry, having to deal with it myself, having to go through the COBRA stuff in the marketplace, and my phone number being sold to every person in the world that can even say the word insurance. It's been a very frustrating process. But it's good to know there's good guys like yourself out there who we can pick up the phone and say, Nick, help me.
Oh, that's so rad. I love how you phrase that. Oh my gosh, that's so fun.
Definitely appreciate that. Guys, for anybody who's watching, whether it's live or on replay, definitely make sure that you're following Nick. Go to Reclaim Your Premium, go to his Facebook page, give his page a like, share it. You never know. There may be some folks on your personal Facebook pages or in your networks that are dealing with this, and maybe they're not vocalizing it. But health insurance affects just about every single family out there in one way or another. And especially, again, with the pandemic, with the layoffs, the way the economy has been, COBRA is not the only answer. The marketplace is not your only answer. Connect with Nick, ask questions, if nothing more, pick his brain, ask him some questions. Maybe he'll do a little dance for you. I don't know. But oh, there you go. There you go. But again, thank you so much, Nick. We definitely appreciate your time here and sending everybody your way. Good vibes for you and your family, and hope you guys stay healthy through all of this mess, and good vibes just all the way around.
Oh man, Twyla, you're so awesome. Thank you so much for having me on. That's so cool.
Oh, you're welcome. This was fun. I can't wait to see you in person at a networking event soon. I hope.
Know, right? In the future.
I know. It'll be like, when everybody would like make those corny jokes when it's New Year's Eve and you're like, dude, I haven't seen you since last year. Well, that's pretty much, we're all going to pretty much.
Pretty accurate for this year, though.
Pretty accurate. I haven't seen you in a year.
Right? Oh my gosh.
That's okay. I'm still smiling. You're still smiling. That's what it's about, right? We get to choose how we want to face this.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, thank you guys. And if you guys left comments or questions, or if you watch this on replay and you do that, we'll definitely make sure that Nick gets with you. Follow his page, send him a message. He left lots of breadcrumbs that lead to him. So definitely connect with him. And until next time, we will see you guys later.
Yeah, yo.
Bye, Nick. Happy day.
See you later. Bye.
Yeah.